You mean the older millennial got it wrong again? Well, consider my flabbergasted.
However, when you do a little bit of fucking research, when you actually look into the topic that you're bitching about making TikToks about.
Seems like somebody's a little upset today. Now, I do have a theory about this. I think he's always upset because he's just always wrong. Let's see if my theory holds up.
All right, look, I've had enough of y'all fucking talking about these cuts to Medicaid. The world is coming to an end.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he's just mad he doesn't have a strong falsetto. Let's keep watching.
Do you know what the cuts are to Medicaid? No, you probably don't. No, you just heard $881 billion cut for Medicaid. Oh my God. Well, let me educate you.
Oh, nope. I could still be right. He's going to educate us. Let's see if it's wrong.
Here is just the first page of the cuts.
You're going to explain $800 billion worth of cuts from a 1,000 plus page bill by looking at a single top sheet. Yeah, I'm going to be right.
Cut number 1, saving $35 billion over 10 years. Limit federal health program eligibility based on citizenship status. That's just saying that people who are here illegally don't get to use Medicaid.
Wrong. That's not what that says.
It's something you have told us isn't happening anyway. So you obviously agree with that cut. Cut number 2.
Oh, that's all you're going to say on cut number 1? Okay. Well, yes, the one thing you are correct about is that it's not happening. It is against the law for undocumented immigrants to receive Medicare or Medicaid. That's correct. What your cut number 1 does is it threatens to punish states who have established state-funded healthcare programs for undocumented immigrants, meaning they are not taking any federal dollars to pay for those programs, meaning the federal government is threatening to cut 10% of the funding for Medicare and Medicaid to any state who does not stop insuring undocumented immigrants with the state's own money. That sounds like an infringement on states' rights, don't you think? Why are Republicans trying to dictate to states how they can spend their own money? Anyway, next point.
Eliminate Medicare coverage of bad debt, saving $42 billion over 10 years. Do you know what bad debt is? You probably fucking don't, so let me explain it to you. Bad debt is where you have a debt with a hospital beyond what your coverage pays. So let's say you have private health insurance. Now, your health insurance is going to pay their piece, and then you have your leftover piece. Now, if you don't pay that, that is what's known as bad debt. Now, under no circumstances will your private health insurance company cover your bad debt.
I would call that disingenuous, what you just said, or if we're just going based on the single top sheet that you're asking us to read, it's factually incorrect. Let's just see what it says. It says, while private payers do not typically reimburse providers for bad debt, not typically, meaning in some situations they do. Now that's a little nitpicky, but that's just one extra detail to add to your wrongness. Continue.
However, if you have Medicaid, the American taxpayer will cover up to 65% of that debt. Now, how hospitals use that to their advantage is they up the prices for people on Medicaid, therefore making that bad debt increase.
No, they don't. They don't. Typically, RAND researchers found insurers paid 254% more than what Medicare pays for the same services. Wrong.
And the American taxpayer pays 65% of it. All this would say is that we're not going to do that anymore.
No, that's wrong too, based solely on the top sheet you're asking us to read. It says this policy brings Medicare more in line with the private sector by gradually reducing the amount that Medicare reimburses providers for bad debt. It doesn't say we're not going to do it anymore. Cold stop. No, it says we're going to gradually reduce it.
Therefore, hospitals can't charge more for people on Medicaid.
Yeah, they don't do that now.
Next, Medicare site neutrality, set to save $148 billion over the 10 years. That one's actually really simple. All that says is the hospitals can't charge people on Medicare and Medicaid more. It just says they have to charge people on Medicare and Medicaid the same prices they charge people on private health insurance or cash.
Well, I'm confused. That's exactly what you said point number 2 does. Let's read point number 3 since you didn't give us much time. Currently, Medicare and beneficiaries pay more for the same healthcare services furnished in hospital outpatient departments than in physician offices. The budget supports Medicare site-neutral payments by equalizing Medicare payments for healthcare services that can be safely delivered in a physician's office. Yeah, that's a good thing, but that's not specific to Medicare Medicaid. Private insurers also pay more when they send their people to hospitals for tests or procedures done. They too would save money if they sent their customers to a physician's office rather than a hospital to get a test done. So yeah, this specific provision is a good thing overall, but your explanation of it is grossly incorrect. Anyway, let's pick up where we left off.
Just says they have to charge people on Medicare and Medicaid the same prices they charge people on private health insurance or cash. Is there anyone who's opposed to that?
Me. I am. And so is anybody who knows how to add, because as we've just established, private insurers pay 254% more than Medicare patients. So yes, let's not charge Medicare what we charge private insurers, shall we? Otherwise, nobody's saving money anywhere. Well, turns out I was right. He's just always wrong.
He continues to be the reigning champion in the Asshole of the Year contest.